setter, go get her. She's in control from head to toe, phenomenal. She's a boss, trendsetter, go get her. She's in control from head to toe, phenomenal. She's a phenom. She's so phenomenal. She's a phenom. She's so phenomenal.
Welcome to Finding a Phenom. I am Sierra Shanette, one of your co-hosts of this new phenomenal show, where we'll be celebrating and introducing you to phenomenal women across the metro Atlanta area. Today I have mapillar Don, who is a national sickle cell disease advocate. Mapillar, you have been busy. Mapillar was the 2016 Woman of Influence, 2019 Woman of Honor, and 2020 District 3 Superwoman Award, among many other things. Please tell us, how did you get your start as a sickle cell disease advocate?
Oh wow, that's such a long story, but it's something very personal for me. My 3 children have sickle cell disease. So that is why I tell people, that is my why for going ham on sickle cell. Mm-hmm. The reason why I started my organization though is because I just felt like there was a desert when it comes to support services for families who are impacted by sickle cell disease. So while I am very passionate about sickle cell awareness on the national stage, I think that rub for me is supporting families who are impacted by sickle cell, those socioeconomic assistance, because when a patient walks out of the hospital, all of their burdens are not over. You know, the struggles are in and out of the hospital. So just having that sensitivity towards what families are going through. When families are not able to afford rent because their child or that patient has been in the hospital for weeks or even months. There is no organization that's there to help them with that rent or the utilities. So really at the heart of my organization, that's what we do.
I love it. I love it. Can you please tell us, for those who may not be aware, what is sickle cell disease?
Oh, wow. Sickle cell disease, I feel like everyone has a sickle cell story. Whether you grew up with someone who had sickle cell, whether you've lost someone from the disease, sickle cell disease, I feel everyone has heard the term, but exactly what it is, I'm so appreciative of you for asking me that, because we need to know what sickle cell is. It is a disease that affects millions around the world. However, in this country, it predominantly impacts people of African descent. About 100,000 Americans have sickle cell disease. So when you have sickle cell disease, a person inherits one abnormal gene from each parent, right? So 1 in 13 Black or African American has the sickle cell trait, and that's how you pass it on to your children. If you have the trait and your partner has the trait, with every pregnancy, there's a 25% chance that the child could have the disease. So the disease is characterized by, a lot of people hear about pain crises, where extreme pain when the red blood cells get stuck in the blood vessels, and that can happen anywhere on the body. And it just causes so much pain. But sickle cell leads to blindness. There are people who go blind from sickle cell disease. A lot of sickle cell patients have to have, joint replacements, whether it's their hip or their knees, because, over time, the wear and tear on the body from the organs or different body parts getting the oxygen that they need, because sickle cell robs the body of oxygen. What's happening internally is that is the lack of oxygen getting to parts of the body, and when that happens, sometimes that's where the blood gets stuck in the vessels and just different things happen. But it's a very complex and brutal disease, but we don't talk about it because of the demographic of patients that it affects, and that is people of African Americans, African descent in this country predominantly.
Well, I'm grateful we have you to be a voice for the sickle cell community.
Thank
I
you.
want you to take us back. November 2022 marks 7 years since you started your foundation.
You've been
Yes.
doing your research.
I mean,
love that.
a little bit. Take me back to round about October 2015, right before you begin the foundation. Has it lived up to what your dreams were?
Oh my God, it has exceeded all of my expectations. I had to do a pitch yesterday, which made me do a query of how much I have raised over the last 7 years. I've raised about $250,000 for sickle cell, and raising and pouring right back into the community. Exceeded all of my expectations. We are on the national stage speaking on sickle cell, advocating for people with sickle cell, trying to, when I started this organization, we only had one drug on the market for sickle cell. And like I said, this is a condition that affects millions around the world. Medications don't work the same for everyone, but the sickle cell community had only one drug on the market. A big part of what I do is using my story, my lived experience with my children to affect change. We have been on the front lines of, I go to New York, I am on conversations, I'm at roundtables with the HHS Secretary Becerra, the administrator for CMS, that's the Centers for Medicaid and Medicare. So those kind of conversations where change is being made for sickle cell. Those are the tables that we're at, advocating for sickle cell, encouraging policymakers, stakeholders. Can I say to give a damn? Can I say that? To give a damn about sickle cell. Because so many people are struggling. People are dying from sickle cell around the world. And we have to care about it. So MTS Sickle Cell Foundation as an organization has blew my mind. I'm so proud of the work that she has done.
Yes, and we are proud of you as well. Let's talk about Sickle Cell Awareness Day. As of June 19, 2022, the state of Georgia declared that as Sickle Cell Awareness Day. Take us through that journey. You were a pivotal part of that, correct?
Yes. When it comes to sickle cell, sickle cell is is a bipartisan, as far as I'm concerned, subject. So I advocate to the Republican Governors Association, the Democratic Governors Association, and I give the same message because everybody got to get this word, right? So before we got the proclamation, I always reach out to everyone. I reached out to my local government, Clayton County, the local cities. I reach out to everyone to encourage them to help us bring more awareness to this disease. June 19th is World Sickle Cell Day. I try to make that connection. I feel like at every June 19th celebration, there should be some kind of awareness about sickle cell because that is our audience. And so in my outreach, I decided to reach out to the governor. And I gave him different ways that he could help the sickle cell community. I even give him the proclamation that he could, basically just put your name on it. We'll write it for you. And when I tell you, I have sent correspondences like that to so many people. And I wasn't sure how it would go because this is a Republican governor. I don't even know if he's heard about sickle cell. But within 3 hours, they reached back out to us. We would love to do a proclamation for sickle cell. They already had the script. My script was too long. They had to condense it. I said, it's okay. But yeah, that's the first time Georgia has ever done one for World Sickle Cell Day. They've done it for Sickle Cell Awareness Month, but as far as World Sickle Cell Day or making that day a priority in the state of Georgia, we've never had that. So I was really excited to have done that.
What I love about you, you're bold. You don't have a problem asking for what you want. You don't have a problem pursuing what you need to pursue in your advocacy, and I love that so much.
Thank you.
You also serve as the co-chair of My Three Sicklers Board of Directors.
Yes.
Take me through a week in the life as the co-chair of the Board of Directors. What is that like for you?
Well, I feel like with being the co-chair or even the president of the organization, sickle cell disease is my life. There's not a day that it doesn't impact me or that I'm not working behind the scenes, in front of the scenes for MTS Sickle Cell Foundation. So as a board, the board's agenda is really just to move the organization's mission forward, and I feel like I do that daily. So board meetings is really just updating on what has been going on since the last time we met. We meet quarterly.
Okay.
Yeah, just to move the needle, even if just a little forward.
Just a little bit. That's all it takes. Just an inch
Just
at a
a
time
little
will
bit.
get you there.
Yes.
Please, I learned on your website that sickle cell can be detected at birth. Was
Yes.
that the case with each of your children?
Yes, so thank God, sickle cell is one of those conditions that is part of the newborn screening program. There was once a time when that wasn't done. And so sickle cell for a lot of people used to be a death sentence because it wasn't being caught early. And then, of course, there's not a lot of options, again, when it comes to the care that sickle cell patients get. There's not, for adult patients, there's not a lot of doctors who want to treat them. So there's a scarcity when it comes to that. But because of newborn screening, we're able to catch children early and start administering care. So that is something else that because I was born in Liberia, that's West Africa. So I know the benefit of newborn screening, of catching people with sickle cell disease early. So last year we helped start newborn screening in Liberia because Liberia is affected by sickle cell disease. But the global conversation surrounding sickle cell, Liberia is seldom heard because we don't have the data. Liberia is recovering from decades of civil war, so it's a very poor country. And then you add on a condition like sickle cell that just affects a person's entire life. It's a bad recipe. And it's not just Liberia, it's the whole sub-Saharan Africa. Nigeria is hammered by sickle cell disease, so is Ghana and so many of the African countries. But there's lack of care there. And there's the medications that we're fighting for here. It is my hope that someday they would trickle down to parts of the world, Africa, where the disease has its most burden.
Understood. My pillar, we thank you. If you could please tell everyone where they can find you online and on social media, please.
Absolutely. I can be found, I feel like I said, sickle cell disease is my life. So if you go to MTS Sickle Cell Foundation on Facebook, if you just type that in, or on Instagram, we're at My3Sicklers. We have a really big audience, over 50,000 global users. I would love for you to join us on there and share the awareness information that we have. We have a holiday breakfast that's coming up December 17th. If you can come and volunteer again, we would love to have you.
Sure.
But if anyone listening is impacted by sickle cell disease, please feel free to come out to our event. This is for families. We have gifts, we have food, we have holiday music, and all of our events are free. So my3sicklers.org is where you can go to find out more about what we do.
I love it. It was such a pleasure speaking with you today. You are a force. You are a phenom to be reckoned with, and your 3 daughters are so lucky to have you.
Thank
And I'm
you.
so grateful to have spoken with you
Oh,
today.
thank
On
you.
behalf of the Finding a Phenom cast and crew, that is yours.
Oh my goodness, I get a gift. Y'all are amazing. This is such a
Yes.
great initiative, and I'm so honored to be a part. Thank you.
And thank you for watching this episode of Finding a Phenom. We look forward to seeing you next week. Next week on Finding a Phenom, I sit down with CEO and filmmaker Thelma Brown.